I'm Lynn Smith, and welcome to Stroller Coaster, created by Munchkin, the most loved baby lifestyle brand in the world. Today, we've got a special episode about snacking with Chef Duff Goldman. And we also have a special sponsor for this episode, Walmart. Walmart has your favorite Munchkin products. And Justin, I know you love this.
And snacks. Walmart is snack heaven. That's what I
know this when we shop with our kids. As always, my co-host Justin is here. Hi, Justin.
Hello. Sorry, I had to jump in. I'm hungry.
I feel like this is the story of my life. My children get home from school and it is like, how many snacks can I consume before I just stop them and like, you're not going to eat dinner? And typically they don't because they've spent the last 3 hours having cheese sticks and chips and all of the snacks.
It's an absolute free-for-all.
And we've got two great guests to help us navigate through snack time. First up, Jennifer Anderson. She's a mom of two, registered dietitian, and the founder of Kids Eat in Color. If you haven't heard of Kids Eat in Color, it's a parent-famous organization dedicated to helping kids eat better and thrive at mealtime. And then you're going to want to stick around for this one. It's a chef everybody knows and loves, Duff Goldman, the ace of cakes. What does a professional chef do for snacks in his house? We will ask him.
I need to up my snack game, and I think it's Duff. It's on Duff to help me out.
I don't doubt it. We're going to find out, but first, let's talk to Jennifer Anderson about ways to make snack time less stressful. Jennifer, I'm so glad you're here because it kind of feels like we no longer have actual meals. It's like snacking for kids has replaced our traditional meals. Why do kids want to snack all the time?
Well, I think they're hungry and also sometimes they're bored. I mean, there's lots of reasons. And often for some of us, food is all over the place. So they're constantly seeing it.
What about what can make this more balanced? You know, I think that, yes, you're right. It's fun to snack. I love to snack. But how can we make their snacks more balanced so that they're getting the nutrition that they need, especially if it's replacing things like breakfast, which I know we're so on the go. Sometimes I'm just giving them a bar.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think one of the things we want to think about is kids are getting, close to a third of their nutrients from snacks or in terms of energy and calories. So we really need to shift our mindset to a small meal, right? Because kids are really depending on these snacks for their nutrient needs. So rather than thinking, here's some pretzels, which is a fine snack, that's not going to keep them full. That's going to keep them coming back to you, whining for more snacks. So what we really need to do is change our mindset and think, okay, what can we add on to these snacks to make them more substantial so that we can keep them full, so that we don't have to be snack vending machines quite as much.
Snack vending machines. I like that. It does feel like we are most of the time.
Absolutely. So can we add on some protein? Can we add on some color? Because those are the things that are going to help keep kids full, which is going to give them what they need.
What about how you said how to keep them full, but also how to make them maybe interested in trying something new? I mean, is this like a very good opportunity for us to introduce new foods to them that they might not otherwise try?
Absolutely, because often parents and kids feel a little bit more pressured at mealtime because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get them to eat their veggies, and this is the chance, like dinner is the one chance where they're going to get all these dinner foods. If you can tweak that a little bit and think, well, what if I offered some of these foods during a snack or a lunch or a breakfast? Now there's not as much pressure on anyone. And when we take pressure off of kids, they often eat so much better because you're not like hovering. There's not that hovering energy of like, oh my gosh. When we bring that energy, kids pick that up and then they're much less likely to try foods, eat as well, all of those things.
You're so right, though. It is like there's so much more pressure associated with mealtime. So if you're on the go and you're like, hey, just try this, and you sort of think that maybe that'll be a good opportunity for them to try something new. What about when it comes to affecting their meals? Like this happens so much at dinner time where they're really hungry, but I'm in the middle of making their dinner and they're just like, I'm just going to grab something. I'm so hungry. Like, how do we make sure this doesn't affect their full picture of nutrition?
Right. I mean, I have 2 kids. I feel
feel my
this
pain?
deep in my soul,
Yes,
right?
my deep-
I'm like,
yes.
I'm literally cooking this dinner in front of you. You could see it's half made. No, it's not
Yes.
time for snack. Sometimes we have to say no.
10 minutes.
Sometimes we just have to say, no, go play. And then, of course, they just lay on the floor and hug on your leg and whine and cry. But the reality is, like, we need them to eat their meals. And if we're just giving them snacks, it is going to ruin their dinner. And, our parents, like, no, this is going to ruin your dinner. Of course, we hated it. Our kids hate it too. But then we actually ate our dinner. And, if you're making dinner, I mean, give them a little bit of the dinner. Like, oh, I'm making a salad. Here's some veggies. Veggies as a pre-dinner kind of tide me over. It doesn't ruin their appetite to give some kids some veggies before dinner. And often they're more willing to try that veggie if you're cooking with it and then you're like, oh, here, have a little bit of the broccoli. And they're super hungry and they've just been whining. And they're like, okay, she handed me some broccoli. Maybe I should try it, It's very low pressure at that point.
Yeah, I love orchestrating a little pre-dinner veggie plate. It's like a little trick for them. Like, gotcha,
Yeah.
you're eating vegetables.
Well, you know what I do? I call it an hors d'oeuvre, right? Like put it in a little muffin
fancy.
cup,
Right, make them feel
right?
like they're
and then
like
you're like,
adult life.
this is a thing. This is a thing that you eat a little something before dinner. It's called an hors d'oeuvre.
You talk about this, and I've struggled with this, and Justin, I'm sure as well. If they don't eat their dinner, and then they're so hungry, and all they want is snacks, how do you explain to them? Right, I know it's a hard no, but how do you explain to them, like, no, really, if you don't eat this, we aren't going to have anything else tonight. So
Sure.
This is it.
Yeah. So first of all, the number one rule is you always have to have a food on that plate that they're comfortable with. If my husband was to make a dinner of, fried liver and raw onions and mushrooms, which are all foods that I'm still learning to like.
Yeah, I like that. Still learning to like. You're
Yeah.
willing to give those mushrooms a shot.
I keep trying.
Keep at it.
I keep trying. And, if he makes that, that's going to be really unfair to me because I'm not comfortable with any of those foods yet. But if he also serves that with bread, then it's different because I could just eat the bread. And then I can, get my fill good enough. And then I can eat a big breakfast or something, right? And I'm not going to be hungry, but also, I didn't have to be essentially starved because there wasn't even a food that I was comfortable with. So I'm just making the assumption that you are putting at least one food that your child is comfortable with. It does not have to be their favorite food, but something that that they'll almost always eat.
Yeah, that's really a good point because then
So,
you know that
yeah.
they're going to try something. It's
Yeah.
not like they're not going to eat anything.
And then if they say, I don't want it, then you say that's fine. You don't have to eat it. Now, if they come around, back 10 minutes after dinner and they're like, I'm hungry, you could offer them dinner again. Because again, that there is a food there that they are comfortable with. And you don't have to be making another meal. You don't have to be pulling out snacks. Like that is the kind of, the more consistent you are on this, the easier your job will be over time. Because your child will understand, hey, this is what's for dinner.
Lastly, I just want to get your take on what are some of the benefits maybe involving our kids when it comes to making snacks? Like it could be a way for us to introduce some of those new foods that you talked about.
Absolutely. I mean, modeling eating is really powerful, and also just getting kids in the kitchen because then they see the food. They see the food at different stages. They might be able to help. I mean, you think about a toddler and you give them a, quote, knife. There is like so exciting. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I taught my kids to use real peelers when they were, 18 months. Lots of supervision, obviously. Got to be safe with these things. But an 18-month, 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old with a peeler, oh, you just see that independence, like do that carrot. And then as a parent, yeah. And as a parent, then you want to shred it or do something so it's not a choking hazard. But then they peeled that carrot. You better believe they're going to stick a little bit of that in their mouth. So when we can include kids in that snack time, and prepping any foods, any time of day, right? They're going to be much more likely to try it if they have a little bit of ownership in it.
We have a thing
That's
in
such a
my
good
house
point.
where the chef always tastes. So if you're cooking with me, you have to taste as well.
I love that. That's so good. I might
such a great
take
idea.
that.
Take
we
it.
all are.
Take it.
See?
Let's go. It's
Now,
yours.
Justin, you're the next expert we're going to interview. Jennifer, you were so helpful. Such great tips. So good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, Justin, she gave us such great strategies. Like when you're involving them with the preparation of the snack, they're going to more likely try the snack. Or if you put something on their plate that you know they're going to eat, it's a favorite, then they're more likely not going to want a snack later.
Right. Give them something they like so that they will engage with it. I think that's really smart. The biggest thing that I took away, though, on top of those is that like snacks are a part of a kid's diet now. It's not just a little extra thing we're throwing in there. That's like a big source of their nutrition. So I feel like now we as parents have to be a little more snack conscious all the time.
We actually had to start having dinner at 4:00 because the kids were snacking so much and then going to sports. And so we were having dinner at 9:00. So we were like, let's just have dinner at 4. That way they're full. And then anything afterwards is just a bonus.
Right. Yeah, suddenly we're eating at like retiree times because we have to for our kids. Like
we're weaning ourselves
bedtime.
into retirement.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
be set in just a few years.
Makes sense. I'm ready.
And speaking of snacks, today's episode is sponsored by Walmart.
Yes, my kids love Walmart. The idea that you can get food and toys in the same building is mind-blowing to them.
Yep, you can head to Walmart for top-rated baby food, healthy snacks, munchkin products, and don't forget about express delivery to have your baby and mommy essentials brought right to your door in as little as an hour. Subject to availability, restrictions and fees apply.
Express delivery that is good for busy moms and dads like me. Thank you, Walmart.
Today, for our parenting story of the day, we sat down and spoke to a one-of-a-kind parent, Chef Duff Goldman. He is a famous chef. You've seen him on a ton of TV shows like Ace of Cakes, Kids Baking Championship, and even The Masked Singer. But he's also an author, philanthropist, and most importantly, a father who deals with snack time just like we do. Please welcome Duff Goldman to the show. Duff, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I'm a huge fan of your work, watch all your shows. You're a celebrity chef, but you're also dad. And I've got to ask you this. I mean, how much does being this amazing chef impact being a parent? Because tell me you still serve them dino nuggets. Like,
You know, I would serve her dino nuggets if she liked them, but she doesn't.
Because you're a chef.
Yeah, you know what she likes? She likes grilled chicken.
Oh, great.
I know.
Is it because you like brine it and stuff?
Because I'm like, I do this, I'm like kind of on a fitness journey and, you know, I grill a lot of stuff. And so she's like, you know, want some, and I give her some, she loves grilled chicken, you know. I mean, she also loves like Fritos and, you know, everything else. But yeah,
Thank
it's
goodness.
crazy. Dino nuggets are not on the menu.
But did you start at a young age sort of cultivating her palate, introducing new things that maybe we wouldn't have thought of, you know, average parents, we're not thinking of giving them like caviar.
Yeah. I listen, we gave her everything, like pickles and spicy stuff and, you know, you name it. Like if she wanted to try it, we'd give it to her. And it's funny, I'm finding that at 3.5, she has a much more limited palate than she did when she was like 1.5.
Really?
Like she was 1.5, like she would literally eat anything. If I gave her meatloaf, she'd crush it. If I gave her pickles, she loved it. You know, I'd give her avocado, all kinds of stuff. Now, I'd say her diet is about 85% strawberries and then 15% everything else. Like I feel like my wife and I should buy stock in Driscoll's Berry Company because we buy
huge money maker.
It is every single day we are buying a pound of strawberries.
You're like crushing one of those cases every single day. Hey, there could be worse things for her to be obsessed with. But it is true.
Totally.
It's
but
true.
I feel like her cells, the things that make up Josephine, I feel like she's probably like, you know, a good like 2/3 strawberry. Like,
I love it. And it's really, I would imagine for you that you try and bring in some creativity into the kitchen. How do you make this fun for her? That it's not just about snacking or grabbing something here or there. Do you make sort of cooking with her fun?
You know, she really enjoys being in the kitchen when I'm making stuff, especially her food. But she doesn't really, she's not super into like making it. Like I've given her knives before and tried to, show her how to hold it and everything. She's really not that interested in cooking. She likes being there, and I think she definitely knows that I'm a chef. Like when you ask her, like, what does daddy do? He's a chef. And she knows that the oven is where cookies come from.
So many parents have anxiety when it comes to food, but it's like, they're like, I need to get them to eat more. But I think what you're saying, maybe, Duff, is that like we can just take our hands off the wheel a little bit, because at the end of the day, they have to eat. Like they have to eat to live.
Yeah, and it's like if you just like, there's some stuff you just don't have it in the house, they're not going to want it. You know what I mean? They're not going to develop a taste for it. But like, I grew up in the 70s, man. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, everybody. There's no rules.
No.
I was born in '79, and my mom used to give us those like sticks, those meat sticks that were in a glass can with like syrup in them. I was like, how did I end up alive at 45, let alone like halfway healthy? What about when you were a kid? Like, how did you sort of snack? Did you always sort of enjoy good food?
I mean, my mom's a really, really excellent cook. Food's all, it's always been a big deal in the house. I think it's one of the biggest reasons why I sort of, chose the career I did. But like we ate whatever, we ate a lot of McNuggets, and we, burgers and fries and chips and everything else that kids eat. The kids were eating back then. We were eating Capri Suns and, the sugar sticks and, all that stuff. But like, I don't remember ever like my mom being really strict about what we ate. But we ate a lot of good stuff. I don't know. I think the biggest thing, like you were saying about like parents having anxiety about their food, it's parents are having anxiety about everything, man. And it's like, I'm Gen X, my wife is a millennial, and there's like, there's differences, right? We're different. And, when she was pregnant, I was like, listen, I am not going to ever tell you like, do this, don't do that. Like you are the mom, and you are going to raise this kid exactly the way that you want. And that's great, because my wife is amazing. But I was like, listen, don't do these big deep dives on, Google and social media and, all this stuff, because you're going to make yourself insane, because everybody thinks they're an expert. Everybody's got a voice. Everybody's got a thing. And listen, we've been making babies since we were troglodytes, and we figured it out. We're still here.
Chef Duff, do you think being a chef, and do you think that's impacted your parenting, and how?
Yeah, like on that show, Kids Baking Championship, when the kids cry, like I have a very like kind of direct sort of like method of dealing with it, So like the kids are crying, and I'll go in there and I'll be like, okay, stop crying. What's wrong with your cookies? And they'll be like, they're not baking. I'm like, okay, shut the oven door and leave them in there for 10 more minutes. You're fine. And then boom, they're fine. They move on. It's like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. And that's something that Josephine and my wife and I really work on a lot, is like understanding like how big of a deal is something, right? And like when you're having really big emotions, like, is it necessary? Sometimes, you know what, you just kind of need to cry it out, and that's cool. And like you can feel it, and it, and you get some hugs, and get here, eat some peanut butter, and like, you're great.
What about some food inspiration for parents that are listening out there? What kind of like creative things have you tried with Josephine? And also, you work with kids, so you probably encourage them to think outside the box.
When you make things like interesting and cute, like when I make her pancakes and I do like smiley faces with like chocolate chips, or I'll like drip the batter and let that cook and then do a darker one. Like when they see that happen, because she'll hang out and watch me make pancakes, it's so mind-blowing when there's like a reveal like that, and they get really excited. I'm not doing like Japanese fluffy pancakes every Sunday, right? I got stuff to do, like and I think that's one of the other things is like, I think it's really important for people to like really, pay attention to like what your kids are eating and what's on the label and what are they doing. But at the same time, like, cut everybody some slack, cut yourself some slack. The one thing that I've noticed a lot is that if Josephine is there, if she sees me cut the carrots and then sees me like put them on her plate, she's a lot more likely to eat them. And when kids get a little bit older, when your kids participate in whatever it is, whatever they're going to eat, man, you'll be amazed at what they'll actually eat. Like I bet if I like sauteed spinach with Josephine, she'd probably eat it.
It's so awesome. You do a lot of really good work. I'd love to hear more about your charity, No Kids Hungry.
Yeah, so No Kids Hungry is an incredible organization. And basically what they do is they work with schools to get breakfast into schools for kids that, can't afford it or aren't getting breakfast at home. And it's an incredible program. Right now, their figures are if every dollar they raise is 10 meals for kids. So
Oh, wow.
we go out, we raise $100,000. That's what is that? 10 million? A million
Ask the
meals.
lady who talks into a microphone.
Right. A million meals, that kids are getting. And it's great work. And it's the thing that I really love about them is I've seen them at work in Baltimore, in my city. I went to a school where they were providing breakfast, and I saw it happen. And I saw happy kids that were fed and were able to concentrate on everything they were supposed to concentrate on, and not, wow, I'm so hungry, I cannot learn this math because I'm starving, And it's just like when you see just that kind of direct action, man, it's really incredible. I think the other thing that I really like about No Kid Hungry is that, like, nobody in this country should be hungry. Right? It's just it's ridiculous that anybody should struggle, like this. But it's a problem. But as a chef, it's a problem I really understand, and it's also a problem that I can actively help with. There's so many problems that we see that we're like, this is obviously a problem. I have no idea what to do. I'm Bob. I work in accounting. I don't know what to do about this thing, but as a chef, hungry people, I can feed people. That I understand. And you can actually see a difference. And No Kid Hungry does incredible work.
Duff, that is so incredible to hear how you describe it and why you do what you do. You're also sounding like a really cool dad, wishing I had a chef as a dad, and you're making us feel better as parents. Like, it's okay if they just eat grilled chicken. So, Duff, thank you so much for being here. It's just so fun to have you.
Thanks, Duff.
Thanks for having me.
Justin, Duff really puts it into perspective. If you get your kids into the kitchen, get them cooking early, even, at the young age that he was talking about, it gives them this sort of understanding of why they should appreciate these meals.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying, Lynn, because it's something I've thought about a lot over the course of our season here of Stroller Coaster. It's about letting our kids take risks. And it's not a huge risk to just be in the kitchen, but it is a little bit to have them up there, handing them a knife to do some cutting, all of that. And it seems scary, but it's hugely important. Big takeaway for me from Duff and the season as a whole. And the other big takeaway from Duff is invest in strawberries. They're going. They're going up.
So many strawberries. I learned a lot, not just about strawberries, but about snack time in general and how our kids eat. It's been so helpful. And listeners, if you have a topic or a question, reach out to us at podcast@munchkin.com. And of course, shout out to our sponsor, Walmart, for this great episode.
Before we get to our moment of calm, I'm ready for it. I just wanted to shout out our other podcast. It's called Stroller Coaster Storytime, and it's super fun to listen to right along with your kids. It's a storytelling podcast with a lot of fun sounds, great original stories, improv actors. Coming up in the next week, we have the great mystery of who put the candy bars in the shopping cart. Interesting. Love a mystery. So check it out. It's right here in the same feed. Yes. We can't stop snacking. Check it out. It's right here in the same feed. It's called Stroller Coaster Storytime.
One thing you may not know is that Munchkin's Wild Love product line was created to educate kids on at-risk animal species and support the International Fund for Animal Welfare. So when you support Munchkin, you support our wildlife. And Justin, you can check out the link in the show notes.
I will. And whenever I reach in my cupboard, there's probably going to be a wildlife cup coming out in my hand. I promise you that.
Now it's time for your moment of calm, and we have the perfect setting for today's episode. We're headed to an apple orchard in the Pacific Northwest. Feel the crunch of leaves beneath your feet as you wander through fragrant fruit trees and listen to house wrens as you breathe in the aroma of fresh apples. Enjoy.